The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are simply that, opinions. All are presumed innocent until proven otherwise in a court of law. Sensitive topics are discussed. Discretion is advised.
A missing mother, a husband with a changing story, and a digital trail that prosecutors say reveals the truth about what happened inside Brian and Anna Walsh's home. On January 1st, 2023, Anna Walsh, a corporate executive and mother of 3, vanished. Her husband, Brian Walsh, claimed she left for a work emergency in Washington, D.C., but prosecutors say Brian was hiding something far darker and that his own internet searches will tell the real story. The state opens with the first red flag. On January 4th, Anna Walsh's co-workers realized she had never arrived in D.C. Now, when they call Brian Walsh, he calmly claims she left their home early on New Year's Day for a work emergency and never returned. The prosecutors say that story is a lie. They reveal Anna had over $1 million in life insurance with Brian as the beneficiary, and they point to a digital trail of incriminating searches on a MacBook using Brian's Apple ID. Now, the defense insists Brian never killed anyone, saying Anna died suddenly, and his searches were the panicked actions of a husband who found his wife unresponsive. The state says the timeline and the searches tell another story.
On January 4th, 2023, Teresa Marchese returned to work after New Year's holiday. When she returned to her office in Washington, D.C. that morning, she was alerted that one of her co-workers' husbands was trying to find her co-worker. The co-worker was Anna Walsh, and her husband is Brian Walsh. And she spoke to her boss, Jeff Shaw. And the two of them went into a conference room and called Brian Walsh. Brian was calm, and he said that on January 1st, Anna left their Cohasset home for a work emergency and had to fly back to Washington, D.C. And he hasn't spoken to her since then. So, Teresa Marchese went and drove to Anna Walsh's townhouse. Ms. Marchese got there. She was able to look in the windows. Nothing was broken. She got into the garage. And she found some cardboard boxes that had yet to be unpacked, some car seats, no car, no Anna Walsh. You'll also have access to financial records that will show that Anna Walsh had approximately $200,000 in accounts at Fidelity, and that there was over $1 million in life insurance in Anna Walsh, and that Brian Walsh was the beneficiary of those policies. And on December 27th, a MacBook that used the Apple ID for Brian Walsh, between 8:30 and 9 o'clock, researched best strategies to divorce for a man. Rupert Guarino will also explain to you the internet history of that MacBook that had Brian Walsh's Apple ID, beginning on January 1st. At 4:54 a.m., the MacBook searched best way to dispose of a body. At 6:24 a.m., same day, the same device searched how long for someone to missing to inherit. How long missing to be dead? Can you throw away body parts? Later on that morning, on January 1st at 9:33 a.m., the MacBook went to search how long does DNA last? And then an article. Is it possible to clean DNA off a knife? 30 minutes later, the MacBook researched disposal of a cell phone. At 10:28 a.m., the MacBook researched, I am the user of my wife's credit card. She is missing. And again, on January 1st, at 11:28 a.m., it searched, best way to dispose of body parts after a murder. The investigators will also explain to you that Brian Walsh's cell phone on January 3rd was located near apartment complexes in Bronx. You'll see the surveillance videos from some of those apartment complexes, including one of Chatham West. You'll see someone go into the dumpster and then leave. The investigators will also tell you that on January 5th, Brian Walsh's cell phone was in the area of dumpsters and a trash compactor by his mother's apartment complex in Swampscott. On January 9th, the police went to those dumpsters and they took that trash compactor and that dumpster to a facility in Peabody where they searched the contents of both. And they found an Hermes watch, blue-gray hunter boots, a black coat, a COVID vaccination card with Anna Walsh's name on it, rugs, a Tyvek suit, a hammer, shears, snips, a hatchet, and a hacksaw. Scientists from the state DNA lab will identify DNA of Brian Walsh and Anna Walsh on the Tyvek suit. They will explain that Anna Walsh's DNA was found from items in the dumpster, including rugs, the hatchet, and the hacksaw.
Brian Walsh lied to the police. Lied to him on January 4th, lied to him on January 5th, lied to him on January 7th. Brian Walsh went to Lowe's and bought tools. Brian Walsh went to Home Depot and bought tools. Brian Walsh, beginning about 4:54 a.m., began a frantic and tragic search that you'll hear about. You'll hear the evidence of that. You will hear evidence that those searches evolved from how best to dispose a body to even darker subject matter. As he wrestled with the fact that Anna Walsh was dead. That evidence that you will hear will be hard to understand, but it is true. On January 1st of 2023, Jim Mutlow left the family home of Brian and Anna Walsh sometime between 1 and 1:30 in the morning. Anna and Brian Walsh continued to celebrate the New Year's. They went upstairs to the bedroom. About an hour later, you'll hear evidence that Mr. Walsh got up, went back downstairs to clean the kitchen. You'll see evidence that he looked at his email. You'll hear evidence that he then returned to the bedroom, intending nothing more than to crawl into bed with Anna Walsh, the woman he loved. When he entered the bedroom and began to get into the bed, he sensed something was wrong. You will hear evidence that it made no sense to him. But he nudged Anna, his wife. She didn't respond. He nudged her again, a little harder. She didn't respond. He nudged her now in a frantic and panic reaction to where she actually rolled off the bed. You'll hear evidence that now he is panicking and he doesn't understand what has happened and what is happening. It didn't make any sense to him. It didn't make sense that somebody that he had just been with and enjoyed New Year's Eve into New Year's Day would suddenly be dead. You will hear evidence in this case of sudden, unexplained death. 1 hour he's with her, he cleans the kitchen, he comes back up, and she is dead. Brian Walsh
never killed him. Brian Walshe never thought about killing him.
Now, back to the Court TV podcast.
Day 2 of Brian Walsh's trial focuses on the physical evidence. Investigators follow 2 dumpsters to a trash facility where troopers search bag by bag. Now inside they find plastic sheeting, tarping, Anna's Hunter rain boots, and a COVID vaccination card with Anna Walsh's name on it. Digital forensics then reveal the full list of disturbing searches made under Brian's Apple ID, all originating on his MacBook. How long before a body smells? Can you use bleach to clean blood? Disposing of a body in the trash? Can a body decompose in a plastic bag? Can police get your search history? The day ends with a growing question. If Anna left for work, why does every piece of evidence point back to their home?
Sergeant, what did you do on January 9th in this matter?
I went to 300 Forest Street in Peabody.
And about what time did you get to 300 Forest Street in Peabody?
Around dusk.
And why were you there?
We had collected 2 dumpsters from the apartment complex at 330 Paradise Road.
And so what were these state troopers doing? Not Lieutenant Tully, but the other ones you just mentioned.
It's a big warehouse with trash lining on the walls. We had dumped the contents of the dumpsters in the warehouse, and we began searching the bags, bag by bag.
And why were you and so what would you do with the bags when you searched them bag by bag?
The contents of the bags were opened. It was spread out on the ground. We'd look at the contents, see if it was important.
Directing your attention, what is this?
This is plastic sheeting.
And can you see yourself in this photograph at all?
I can see my feet.
Where are your feet located?
At the top of the frame.
So, Sergeant, what are we looking at here as far as the process that you were describing?
So this is right when one of the bags was opened for examination. The contents was dumped out so we could look at it.
And if we could go to Exhibit 52, which is file 6867. Now, what are we looking at here in relation to the previous photograph?
Those are the contents moved to like tarp and plastic and paper sheeting so they could be further examined.
And the boots, do you know what brand those are?
Hunter boots.
Sergeant, did you see that white piece of paper that night?
I did.
What was that?
That's a COVID-19 vaccination card with the name Anna Walsh on it.
Using the parameters from the search warrant from December 25th of 2022 to January 8th of 2023, were you able to compile the Safari internet search history from the MacBook, which was labeled in your lab as item number 3?
Yes, I was.
So I'd like to look at page 526, record 1952. What is the title?
Best ways to dispose of a body - Google search.
What time and date?
This is done on January 1st, 2023 at 4:52:16 a.m.
Looking at page 534, record 1986. What is the title?
How long before a body starts to smell?
Looking at page 547, record 2031. What is the title?
How long for someone to be missing to be dead?
What is the title on page 578, record 2125?
How long does DNA last - Google search?
Page 609, record 2229. What is the title?
Can I use bleach to clean my wood floors from blood stains - Google search?
What is the title on page 650, record 2364?
Is it better to throw away crime scene clothes or wash them - Google search?
745,
Right
record
there.
2670.
Actually starts on 744, just so the record's clear.
Thank you very much.
Can you identify a body with broken teeth - Google search?
What is the title on page 746 into 747, record 2674?
Disposing of a body in the trash.
What is the title on page 866, record 3056?
Can a body decompose in a plastic bag?
What is the title of page 888, record 3127?
Can police get your search history without your computer?
You did an examination of the web history for the iPad mini, is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
And what did you find between the MacBook and the iPad web history?
So the web history for the iPad, other than numerous more YouTube videos, had the same searches that we saw that are in the MacBook.
Were you able to determine which device, the laptop, meaning the MacBook, or the iPad, the searches originated from?
Yes, I was.
How?
By extracting the database from each device and then loading it into a SQLite browser, which is another program to just view the databases, I was able to see that the MacBook had a designation of 0, showing that it originated on the MacBook, whereas the iPad did not have that. It had an unknown source.
This is the Court TV Podcast.
Day 3 zeroed in on 2 things: searches and evidence. The defense walked the digital forensics expert through the searches like body disposal options and cool ways to be buried, hammering on one point: none of the searches mentioned murder, and nothing was deleted. Then came the physical evidence. Blood found inside the Volvo and trash bags filled with red-brown stained items, boots, jackets, towels, slippers, and in a bag, a hammer, wire snips, a hatchet, a hacksaw. The state says it's a roadmap to murder. The defense says the evidence is being misread.
That binder that's been marked as Exhibit 79, the binder of the history that you included of the MacBook Gray device, we can all agree it contains 3,677 records, as you defined them yesterday.
Yes, well, half technically because they're duplicates.
I'm going to refer you to stay on that same page 555, record 2057.
Okay.
It occurred at 6:36:22,
Yes.
and it regards body disposal options.
Yes,
No reference to murder, the word murder, correct?
that's correct.
Turning to the next page, 556, record 2059. That occurred at 6:36:30, correct?
Yes, that's still correct.
The search query involves cool ways to be buried, correct?
That's correct.
There's no reference to murder, correct?
That's correct.
Page 557, record number 2061.
Okay.
That occurred at 6:36:33,
Yes.
and it's a query of above-ground burial options, correct?
That's correct.
And there's no reference to murder.
Yes, that's correct.
Yesterday, you did testify to some search queries that did include the word murder, correct?
That's correct.
And you would agree that these searches that we're talking to the jury about today, they began at 4:42 on January 1st of 2023.
452, but yes.
4:52. The first time the term murder was introduced in these searches was at page 596, record 2185. That's correct, isn't it?
I don't know. I haven't memorized all of these, as you can
No,
tell.
I know you're looking.
But what record number you said?
Okay. Page 596, record 2185.
Yes, I have that here.
And that, okay, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I cut you
I
off.
was just going to say, I see it here. I don't know. I don't believe there's any other things with murder in the keyword search prior.
I'm sorry?
I don't know if there's any other words with keyword searches for Google with the word murder in it prior to this one. Again, like I said, I haven't memorized all of these records. It's quite a bit of them.
Well, if I represented to you that the first time the word murder appears in these searches is at page 596, record 2185, would you agree with me?
I see it here, so I can just take your word for it.
Okay. And that occurred at 11:28:43 a.m.
Yes, that's correct.
So the first time the word murder appeared in all these records was approximately 6 hours after these searches began.
Again, I'd have to take your word for it, but it seems that.
And there was no evidence after a forensic examination of all the devices now in the possession of the state police that none of the hard drives had been tampered with.
Like physical tamper with, sir? Like physically, or like trying to take them apart?
That's one
Yes.
question. We'll do it that way.
Okay.
Physically?
Other than the damage to the devices, no, there was no tampering, like screws missing that I saw.
And when you say the damage to the devices, are you talking about the one iPad mini that was cracked?
Yeah, well, and the screen on the gray MacBook, the display itself was not broken, but the LCD screen had like a flicker. It didn't work perfectly.
And none of that affected the data within those devices?
No, that's correct.
The search history on all of these devices that were turned over, it was all intact, wasn't it?
Yes, the devices that were either turned over or seized during the warrant were.
And in your forensic analysis of all these devices, you did not see any evidence that anyone tried to remove, delete, or otherwise change the search history contained on these devices?
That's correct.
Sir, do you recognize this photograph?
Yes, I do.
What is this a photograph of?
This is a photograph of the Volvo I examined on January 9th.
Sir, what is this a photograph of?
This is a photograph of the front of the same Volvo that I examined.
Sir, do you recognize this image?
Yes, I do.
And what is this an image of?
This is the open center console between the front driver and passenger seats with 16 examination-style gloves inside of it.
With the Volvo that afternoon, what were you able to do as far as any testing?
The testing I performed on the Volvo was the blood screening test we use at the laboratory. Of all the areas I examined, there were 5 that tested positive for blood screening. One was the front driver side seat controls for the front seat. There was an area on the second row passenger floor mat that tested positive. The third row passenger seat was folded down, and the back side of that screened positive for the presence of blood. And 2 additional areas on the mat that was in the trunk that was covering the trunk storage space. There was 2 mats, 1 area on each of them, test screened positive for the presence of blood. And these were areas that I did not observe any visible staining.
Can you tell us what was discovered inside of bag 1?
Inside of bag 1 was a pair of green boots, a black jacket with red-brown stains, and a bracelet inside of the pocket. There was a black purse with red-brown stains, a black wallet, and a pair of headphones inside of a case, as well as a pair of socks.
Was anything discovered as far as car keys?
Yes, there was a pair of Volkswagen keys as well.
What was discovered inside of bag 2?
Inside of bag 2 were 2 white towels with red-brown stains, as well as a piece of tape with apparent gauze and red-brown stains inside of it.
What was discovered inside of bag 4?
Inside of bag 4 was a pair of gray slippers with red-brown stains, a pair of dark gray slippers with red-brown stains and trace materials, as well as apparent hairs with red-brown stains.
Sir, what is the trace material you saw that night when you were at 300 Forest Street?
In the photo on the right-hand side of the overturned slipper, there are the apparent hairs and fibers that I called trace materials located on the right-hand side at the toe end of the slipper.
What was discovered as far as a Tyvek suit?
There was a white Tyvek suit discovered in the bag as well, along with a wrapper for a Tyvek suit.
Was anything else discovered as far as a safety goggles or anything like that?
Yes, safety goggles were discovered, as well as additional miscellaneous items.
Sir, what is it that we're looking at here?
This is a photograph of the contents of bag number 8.
And what was produced from bag number 8?
Bag number 8 contained a hammer, a pair of wire snips, a hatchet, and a hacksaw with red-brown stains on it.
This case is building fast. Digital searches, blood evidence, and a bag of tools that could change everything. But the question remains, do these clues point to a planned murder, or are they pieces of a puzzle still missing its corners? The jury is watching, and the family is waiting, and the clock is ticking. I'm Cody Thomas. Stay safe, stay informed, and join me next time when we go back on The Record.
This podcast is a production of Court TV. Go to CourtTV.com for more content, trials on demand, and to find out how to watch Court TV in your area.